Good morning. I have no idea what this video is going to be. Essentially, today I'm going to live as Sherlock Holmes and take on his habits as much as possible. This does not include personality, because BBC's version of Sherlock can be a bit rude. That tea is cold. Anyway, I'm going to be using evidence from both Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes books, and when I use that, I'm going to refer to him as Holmes, and then when I use evidence from BBC's Sherlock, I'm just going to say Sherlock. Oh yeah, tea was the first step to being Sherlock this morning because he enjoys tea, and I enjoy tea too, but I haven't done it in a long time. We see Sherlock often wearing a button down, so I wore a button down. I think that's it for now. So now I'm going to go get breakfast. Of course I've got to do the typical Sherlock coat and keep the collar upturned as well. Someone started coming while I was doing that and I felt really awkward because I had to run back and grab my phone off the grass. Alright, this is a strange meal for me. I always get either oatmeal or toast. Sometimes like pancakes or French toast if it looks good. Cantaloupe. And also eggs with like a fake sausage patty. It's probably made of soy or something, I'm not actually sure. We see Sherlock eating eggs sometimes in the show. In The Adventure of the Engineer's Thumb, Holmes orders fresh rashers and eggs and joined us in a hearty meal. Yes, this is an unusual breakfast. By the way, it was really hard to find food. I mean, we see it a couple times in the show and it's hardly mentioned at all in the books. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle would say like they had supper or they had breakfast, but he never specified which foods. So it took a lot of research. Anyway, it's currently 8:18 and I've got 22 minutes until my class starts. I'm sitting here thinking like, if I were Sherlock, what would I be doing right now? And then I was thinking probably Duolingo. We know from The Empty Hearse that Sherlock speaks Serbian, and then we also know from a study in Scarlet that he's at least well versed in German, which is why I elected to do Duolingo on this day. And I did some Russian, which the extent of my knowledge of Russian is basically like hello, thank you, and where is, but it's still really exciting to practice anyway. I just finished my first class and now I have 10 minutes until cardiopulmonary responses to stress, which I think Sherlock would love. Usually at this time, I would go on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or Snapchat. Today, I'm not going to do any social media. There is no way that Sherlock Holmes would do that. For example, in The Adventure of the Gloria Scott, Holmes tells Watson, "I was never a very sociable fellow, Watson, always rather fond of moping in my rooms and working out my own little methods of thought, so that I never mixed much with the men of my year." I guess then in theory this is a contradiction because Sherlock would not vlog about his own day, but you know, it is what it is. Class is over. There's a few points that I feel like I could expand on because I didn't quite understand them or I wasn't able to take my notes quick enough. So I'm going to do that now because we have a quiz next week and I feel like that's something that Sherlock would do, research further points in science to better understand it. I'm going to just explore some of those topics now and take notes on things that might be useful in the quiz and try to like actually better understand these topics and grasp them rather than just memorizing them. So from this forum, I'm trying to send out this newsletter and the subscription thing just isn't working. It's a long story, but I'm kind of stressed about it. So I figured, I guess this is a perfect opportunity to try out what Sherlock does when he's stressed. In A Scandal in Belgravia, he's just standing up composing and John asks him if that's what he's doing and Sherlock's response is that it helps him to think. I took a music class last quarter and we kind of learned how to like make basic melodies, very basic. I don't want to say compose because that makes it sound so much more like talented and complex than it actually is, but I'm just going to use MuseScore to create a melody. I don't think it works as a de-stressor for me because I'm getting stressed at how bad it is. It's so bad. I mean, maybe I'll try it out later actually on the violin, but no, it's not good, and I just listened through the whole thing. Yeah, so that's stressing me out more, but you know, I've tried it. So now I'm just going to go to lunch. Quick voiceover interruption here just to let you know how amazing the sandwich was, especially because I got it toasted. Oh my gosh, it was just so good. And then I also began to read Crime and Capital Punishment. The whole point of me braiding my hair last night was so that it wouldn't be puffy today. That did not work out. But anyway, so this book, you might notice that its title bears a resemblance to Crime and Punishment, which is the book I intended to order from the library. It's so interesting. And I didn't even mean to order this book, and I was going to return it, but then I was thinking, oh, well, actually, this would be kind of perfect for a reading to do while I'm living like Sherlock for a day, because this is totally something that Sherlock would read that I would never choose to read usually. I started on my homework at this point and did that for a while. I think that Sherlock, after working for so long, would want to kind of relax by playing the violin. So I went down to the music practice rooms and just played for a while. I am definitely going to mute this for you because it does not sound very good. Trust me, I tried listening to this before I muted it. Then afterwards, I returned to my room to do more homework. It's also May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Star Wars Day. For my Star Wars class, our professor told us to like come in, you know, wearing something Star Wars related. All of my Star Wars stuff is at home, so this is the best I can do. So for supper, Holmes says, "My dear fellow, it is nearly 9, and the landlady babbled of green peas at 7:30. Several times they mentioned cold meat. I think this is just a Victorian thing. But like, now, Mr. Sherlock Holmes," said the lady as we entered a well-lit dining room, upon the table of which a cold supper had been laid out. Or, "We shall have some cold supper before we start." So in lieu of cold meat, I have tofu that I got the other day and I put in the fridge. It should still be good because I really like raw tofu. I put it on salads and stuff. And then finally in Sherlock season 4, episode 2, he says, "You're allowed chips. Trust me, it's about the only perk." And chips, of course, in Britain is the same as fries in America. So I also got some sweet potato fries. Also, I haven't really updated in a couple of hours, only because we often see Sherlock going hours not noticing that John's not in the room. So I just spent the past several hours doing homework, just kind of plowing through it as much as I could in a Sherlock fashion, I guess you could call it. This actually smells so amazing. Hot. Very hot. I wish I had some ketchup for these though. It's still good. And then cold tofu. It's amazing as I expected. I really do love raw tofu. I don't know if a lot of people do. I don't know if it's weird. I'm also continuing Crime and Capital Punishment as I eat. I'm now going for a walk. Although Holmes never actually wears a deer stalker, Sherlock does, and it's just kind of a symbol of him. I have a deer stalker at home actually, but I didn't bring it to school with me. So I'm wearing this hat instead. Holmes says on several occasions that he enjoys his evening strolls or afternoon walks, and he likes observing the city. So that's what I'm doing. I don't have my earbuds in. I'm just enjoying the surroundings, I guess. I think this is the quietest it's ever been, like while I've been walking down the street. Watson mentions in A Study in Scarlet that Holmes enjoys Mendelssohn, and then in the Red-Headed League there's a wonderful description of Holmes. All the afternoon he sat in the stalls wrapped in the most perfect happiness, gently waving his long, thin fingers in time to the music, while his gently smiling face and his languid, dreamy eyes were as unlike those of Holmes the sleuth-hound, Holmes the relentless, keen-witted, ruddy-handed criminal agent, as it was possible to conceive. When I saw him that afternoon so enwrapped in the music at St. James Hall, I felt that an evil time might be coming upon those whom he had set himself to hunt down. So, while I did some homework, I listened to some Mendelssohn because it's Holmes' favorite, and it was a version by Hilary Hahn, so of course it was lovely to listen to. Alright, forgive me for my voice, my retainers are in because it's getting towards nighttime. I'm going to do some research for MBTI because Sherlock is notorious for doing research in science and studies. I need to emulate that today. Oh my gosh, I should have just taken my retainers out first. Long story short, I worked on compiling the data and finding averages, which basically is just for each question, finding the mean for each answer for each type. It's a slow process, but I feel like I'm learning as I do it, so it's fun. And afterwards, I went to watch a bee documentary on YouTube. And this is because we know that Holmes is interested in bees. In The Adventure of the Second Stain, Watson says that Holmes has betaken himself to study in bee farming on the Sussex Downs. Okay, I took out my retainers for this. Recap on the day. Honestly, it wasn't as different a day as I expected. And I guess what I mean by that is like, I practiced violin anyway, and I wanted to work on MBTI anyway. I like watching documentaries anyway. It was more so subtle differences. Like, I wouldn't have chosen to watch bees. I wouldn't have chosen to read Crime and Capital Punishment. I wouldn't have gone for a walk this evening. The only thing that was weirdest about the day, honestly, was not using social media. It's been kind of nice having a day unplugged, I guess you could call it. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a spectacular rest of your week.